Hello and welcome to the Recreate Sports Podcast. I'm your host Michael. This is the Pit Crew and the F1 Cooldown Room with my boys. Introduce yourselves. Chris.
Chris here.
Ash.
Morning, guys.
Hello, Tash here.
And Vinyl will be on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Audible, all your favorite podcasting links. So let's get straight into it. Full confession, this is the second time we're doing it. I had a mic drop moment, a technical difficulty. So take two. We had some technical difficulties, so we had to scratch the first attempt at doing this. But here we go again, ever persistent, me and my boys. Let's get right into it. Daniel Riccardo, the news. Dropped for Liam Lawson, another Australasian guy. Wow, it comes to fruition. What do we think, guys? First thoughts. Kick us off, Michael.
Well, it's the news that we knew was coming and we didn't want to happen, and it happened. I'm wearing my Daniel Riccardo t-shirt. I've got pinned on my chest. Yeah, it was just. I think we all feel a bit sad in the way that it occurred. It was. He knew it was coming. We knew it was coming. But just the team didn't send him out with dignity. I think that they should have just made the announcement and everyone celebrated his last race. Not in the his interviews were so awkward afterwards, like sad and awkward.
The way they fragmented it, overlapping all this news, seemed very rushed. Even the press release had them congratulating Liam Lawson in the same sentence as thanking Daniel Ricciardo, which seemed very awkward. But Ash, what do you reckon?
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
Yeah. I agree. I think it was all handled really poorly, the exit. It seems like they knew what was happening like ages ago, like months ago, that it was set in contract that Lawson had 6 drives. So just the way they went about it was messy. It was sad watching Ricciardo have to go through all that for his last race, and a really bad send-off in respect. If this is the last we've seen of him in F1, then yeah, it's not a good way to go out. Not deserving. So yeah, like can't really say much more.
So there is news saying that Lawson knew that he was getting the job before Ricciardo knew he was losing it. So Lawson was in the pit garage over the weekend, aware that I'm banging your woman, man, and like Ricciardo is totally cucked, embarrassed. And this is just a humiliating situation for such a well-respected driver. And
agree.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with Ricciardo is like, did he know that he was out as well? Did he know that this was coming? This was an inevitable result because of his form. Because he had, it seems like he had the chance to prove himself, but he didn't, and he would have known that up until this point because he was clearly lost out to Yuki over a majority of the season. And he had some bright points, some highlights. But yeah, it's just strange, all the news that's coming out later that it was it seemed like it was set in stone regardless. And it was just a messy way of finishing it all off.
Yeah, mixed messages. That's what I've always been told. Mixed messages make people feel bad either way. Like, Chris, what do you reckon, man?
Yeah, look, I think it's really interesting. I think it's a Red Bull kind of, I don't know, they've sort of, it's a weird thing having these two teams. I don't even think they should be allowed. I think it's so few teams in F1. I don't think one constructor should be able to have two.
Conflict of interest,
regardless, I don't know. And it's another interesting point, I think, is that maybe a lot of this is in a roundabout way of Ricciardo's own making. Because when he left Red Bull, right?
Yeah.
It's ever since he left that they've never been able to fulfill that second seat, right? They've always struggled. So they were committed to putting their junior drivers in, right? Using their program. None of them could do it, got sacked. So it kind of all started when Ricciardo jumped ship and left Red Bull. Then now I think he's a victim of, they put Red Bull back in, I think largely because of, put Ricciardo back in largely because of Horner in their relationship.
Yeah.
But the investors are like, if you've got two teams, it's got to be for the young guys, right? It's got to be for the next guys to make the step up to Red Bull. So they've said there's got to be a young guy in there. And it's weird that Yuki's there, and he's just got no pathway. So you know, so if Yuki's there, but he's never going to be a Red Bull driver, like, what's he really doing? You know, V-carb. It's a messy situation. Like, they've got themselves in a really messy situation with that second team.
Yeah. You raised some really good points I want to try and touch on. Okay. Lawson, is the path now for him to go through to RB? Red Bull, I mean, the main team? Is that
I think so. If he does well, that's the hope, right? It's the hope that he'll replace Perez, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe 2026. I don't know.
And secondly, like Yuki, like what's his situation? He's in the middle ground of not being a senior, not being a senior driver, not being an A driver, but also being faster than any of the junior drivers they bring in and then senior drivers they bring in. So what do we do with Yuki?
I think he's in a really tough situation, and he should be looking elsewhere because he's not gonna. It seems like he's not going to get the Red Bull drive, right? Like they're not even considering it, unless he has some like a really standout, 25.
Well, if I can butt in slightly, like
no,
I mean that happened the same thing to Gasly. Gasly was there, and they kind of made it pretty clear that he wasn't going to become the Red Bull driver. So he's like, well, where do I go from here? And the only way was out. And if Yuki's not going to make that progression as well, it's going to be the same way. It's going to be, okay, we fostered this guy's talent. And he's proven he's fast, and now he's relatively consistent. Like, his point scoring.
Now,
like, why don't they promote him? Like, I mean, they promote everyone else, almost.
Yeah, man. I mean, you could look at it another way and say that the V-carb is shit, right?
Yeah.
And maybe Riccardo was actually wringing its neck and doing a good job, but Tsunoda was,
incredible.
Tsunoda was just way faster than Riccardo actually is. I don't know. You never know, right? But, he was a lot faster than Daniel Ricciardo in the same car, whatever that means.
Yeah.
So, like, you got to give him credit. Like, he can't do much better than whoop Ricciardo.
Yeah. It's definitely a weird situation now. Lawson versus Yuki. What do we think? What do we expect? What do we anticipate out of this matchup? This is a dynamic duo here. I mean, damn, these two guys are fast. They're old F2 buddies. They used to be roommates back in F2. They're
Yeah. I think, I don't know. Well, when Lawson was in, right, for his 5 or 6 races, when Ricciardo did his wrist, he was quick, and he beat Yuki, right? Didn't he?
He did, so consistently.
Over a full season, it'd be really interesting to see how he, if there's a big progression, a lot of improvement.
Yeah. If I'm Yuki, I start to pressure for that Red Bull seat or get out of there because it's tough for him to look good out of this situation against Lawson, I think. It's a lose-lose situation.
Well, if he beats Lawson and he still doesn't get promoted, then
then what am I doing?
He's got to go.
And if he can't beat Lawson, then he's in the same situation that Riccardo's in, where his stock suddenly plummets.
Yeah.
Well, I think an interesting thing, if they're going to be close on pace, what might separate them might be racecraft.
Yeah.
I know Yuki's been fast in clean air, Yuki's been fast in qualifying, but in the race, like, you look back to Mexico last year, that really clumsy overtake attempt.
Yeah.
In Canada, he had that sort of pretty clumsy kind of off the road when he was sort of battling. So I think it's going to be interesting. Like, will Lawson have sharper racecraft if he's in a similar kind of speed situation as Yuki? I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Ash, any thoughts to add on that?
Yuki's only there because of Honda. He's out as soon as Honda leaves Red Bull. He's not gonna get a drive. He needs to look somewhere else, like others have mentioned. But where's he gonna go? Like, if he dominates Lawson,
Honda AM.
Yeah, it's Honda AM in 2026. But if he dominates Lawson,
but it's Fernando retires. Fernando retires 26. Maybe.
I could see that. I could see Lance being.
They want Max. They want Max.
Wow.
Yeah, but they don't need AM don't need Honda's money. It's only if Honda say we're only going to partner with you if there's a Japanese driver. But I don't think Stroll would go for it. He's like, look, I've already got half the team. We can't have two. We can't have two slow drivers.
Yeah, I agree. So Yuki's out because of no Honda money, no Honda backing. He's gone. So it's funny though. It's just like he'll be treading water for the next year, but he's just got to beat Lawson. He beats Lawson, that raises his stock, so he might look at trying to another team.
Well,
and it's I reckon Yuki's up for it. I think it'll be a really tough battle. I hope it is.
Yeah,
it'll be great for us as a spectator. So
yeah,
I think it'll be really exciting. Yeah. Well, to quote Marco, when you play the Game of Thrones, you either win or lose. I think that was him or Game of Thrones. I can't remember.
Oh, really?
But Laurent Mekies also in and out. You know, a lot of shake-ups there. It's like, you know, between he and Horner, there's a lot of drama there. What's happening over at Red Bull RB? We've seen a decline in their
well, the
performance.
exodus is continuing, right? There's still
People are
still a lot of people leaving.
People getting fired. What is happening over at Red Bull? Anyone got any thoughts, comments about the shape of Red Bull?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Sorry. I mean, it's the Newey effect, isn't it? It's the ripple effect of Newey. I mean, Newey hasn't worked on the car since effectively April, and the team's seen the decline. And if the ship is slowly sinking, like at what point do you jump off? So, I mean, that's probably a bit dramatic way of putting it. Like, it's not totally sinking. They're still a world championship winning team.
He's the most valuable man in F1, and when
You're calling him rats.
asset goes. Well, to quote Christian Horner, I'm off to the lab to rub one out. And I think ever since that controversy, it's had a ripple effect.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know. I think there's just a lot of, ever since Dietrich passed away, there's been a lot of like power struggles within the team, like different people trying to take control, because it seems like it's sort of split 50-50 now.
Exactly.
And it's more hard for them.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Dietrich passes. Okay. Yeah. Christian Horner rubs one out in the lab in front of his secretary. Okay. Joss then battles with him for power. The eminence Grise, Marco, still there.
Yeah.
They go for Christian's job. Newey leaves. And then the car declines in performance. This once so-called almighty team. And then an exodus, as Michael said.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the timeline. I think you pretty much summed it up.
Yeah, it's been rapid, it's been sudden, but it's been quite dramatic, and I don't think we've actually looked at it as a whole as how much of a cultural shift this has been.
Well, I think the weird thing is it's usually that the dominant team, that's on top, they make a error coming into a new season.
Yeah.
And then, so you might see a big decline that way. But I don't think mid-season we've seen a team, or not that I can remember, with such a dominant car, come back to the field. I mean, let's not forget, they're still winning, and they're still in the box seat to win. Not the constructors, but the drivers. So, I mean, it's not all over for them yet. They're certainly not happy with the way things are going, but I think their Singapore result was massive. Max's Singapore result was massive for the championship. So.
Let's get to that. Let's get to Singapore. Anyone want to do a Lawrence Barretto and give us a 60-second recap of Singapore? Or fuck that? Yeah, I'm hearing fuck that all around.
Good. Someone else with skills.
Okay, give it a go, Ash.
Oh, what? Nah, man. No
all
way.
Right, Chris.
Vinyl
wants to do it. 60 seconds. Go.
Quick fire.
Lawrence Barretto impression. 60 seconds, Singapore.
This is both embarrassing and the least prepared I've ever been for anything.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry to do it to you.
Yeah, I mean, I almost fell asleep, I guess. It was processional. It was the commentators did a great job of talking it up at the time, like the possible battles that weren't happening and as the gaps were closing. I mean, Piastri did well to work his way up to where he did in the field. Hamilton's strategy did badly on soft tires, like that hidden hope at the beginning definitely didn't pay off.
Yeah,
and it's Lando crushed everyone. Like it's amazing. Talking of Red Bull decline, like McLaren's ascendancy from oblivion is incredible, and how long can they keep this up? Like they're in such a purple patch that no other team has had this development, upward spiral. Like it's crazy.
It's been amazing. So let's work through that. So perfect job, Mike, well done. Sorry to put you on the spot, man. Well, Singapore like a postcard, right? Good to look at, but nothing to write home about. As you say, it was processional. Lando, Oscar at the front. Lando was dominant. I heard you describe it as a Vettel-like performance. He even gave us the number one. Well, he killed it from the front, but he had a few moments as well. Almost, some near misses, which are hits, I guess. But with the side barriers, what do we think of Lando's dominance in that race?
No, he killed it.
He killed it.
He killed it. Yeah, he just killed it. But I mean, wasn't flawless. That's the point I want to look at. It's like, he had that much of a gap, but maybe put it down to the conditions of Singapore, the heat, the humidity. It is a brutal race, so I take that into account. But still, it could have been very, very bad if he did hit the wall. It would have added a huge factor to the race. It would have been super exciting then. Yeah. But luckily for him and unluckily for us that he kept on going and had a dominant victory.
I mean, almost 30 seconds in front, had time to take a pit, still come out in the front, just ran away with it, looking very, very impervious. What do you reckon, Chris?
Yeah, it was a big statement, I think. Like, he wasn't trying to win. He was trying to crush him, and say, look, I'm the fastest guy, the fastest car, and show Max how it feels. Like, he wanted to just dominate. And after about lap 5, Max would have been going, well, not going to win this one. I'm just, just defending for the rest of the race. And I don't think Max would have enjoyed that very much. So, great drive from Lando. Massive. Yeah.
Oscar, any touching points that we would talk about with Oscar? Oscar did pretty well. He moved up a couple of spots. Some nice moves as he does.
He just would have been so disappointed with his volley, right? It was his final running Q3, just let him down, in the chicane, he lost it. So, and it ruined his race. But he should have been first or second, with the pace of the car. So he did really well to get past the McLarens. He actually got behind Hulkenberg at the start, but got past him on the first lap, and then did really well to get past both the Mercs. Because I don't think anyone else made it up towards the front, made a pass on track except him. So good drive in the end, good recovery after quality.
I mean, most points since the break. Lando's chasing Max. McLaren's looking good, as you said, Mike. Upward spiral, a hurricane effect. Mike?
They did get this one guy from Red Bull. Oh, Mike's sorry.
No, go on, Ash.
They got this guy from Red Bull, Rob Marshall. It seems like you never want to put it down to one person, but it seems like as soon as he joined McLaren, they had a huge uptick. And unlike Aston Martin with Dan Fallows, when he joined from Red Bull, they've maintained their uptick and kept on going. Whereas where Dan Fallows joined AM, all of a sudden AM was rocking it, but then it just tapered away. But with the Rob Marshall difference is McLaren's maintained it and kept on going up. So it was interesting just to see that the coincidence between him joining McLaren from Red Bull and then their uptick in form and dramatic uptick in form as well. So interesting stuff. With if I go back to Red Bull and Newey leaving, it seems like from what I've read that maybe he was dissatisfied with. Even though everyone knows he's like the genius and he gets all the credit, maybe he wasn't having as much influence in the car design as he wanted, and that's why he went to greener pastures at Aston Martin. And plus, he also gets a share in Aston Martin as well, so that's a huge thing for him. I think he's something he always wanted. He's part of a team. He's got team ownership in that respect. He was offered that at Williams way back in the day, and they sort of went back on it and screwed him over. So he left them and joined McLaren. So I think this time Lawrence Stroll has ticked all the boxes and got his man.
Yeah, good call. Anything else to add to that, Mike?
No, I mean, also he got to design a road car as well for Aston Martin, so I guess that's a good brand tie-in. That I can't remember the name. It's like a Valhalla, something. Yeah,
the Adrian Valhalla,
which was weird considering that he was working for a different team, and now they've reversed the roles. I think he's working on a Red Bull road car as he leaves to Aston Martin. So
it's weird, eh?
Wow,
the legacy.
The guy can do what he wants, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's got a pretty free.
I want to design a car. Yeah, you can design my car. Sure.
Coming to a street near you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's work down to Max. Damage mitigation, as we said, still in the lead, but he has Lando hot on his heels. Is he under pressure? I mean, he's still comfortably
he's
in
under
front.
massive pressure.
Yeah. I think we're seeing it, right? Like, he's starting to show slight cracks, a little bit of displeasure through the radio that his engineers. He's swearing a lot more, and he's not being allowed to swear.
Well, not in press conferences,
Not in
especially.
He's holding his own press conferences on the paddock. I mean, what are we seeing here?
I was seeing Max in a not in the fastest car, so and not a car maybe that can drive fast. I think he's been in not the fastest car before, earlier in his career, but he could make it the fastest car because of his driving style, and he's that good. But I think the Red Bulls just got too many inconsistencies. They're struggling for setup. They're searching, so it's not consistent. So he can't push. So yeah, I think he's just really frustrated.
Yeah. To quote Max, the car was fucked. Mike?
Well, yeah, it's all about the tyres, isn't it? Like, when obviously there's problems with car balance and problems with, getting the car into the window. But the way that Max couldn't turn on the tyres, especially in Q3 in some recent qualifying sessions, and just going slower in Q3 recently, it's such a fine window to turn on the tyres. And then when they can't, it's disastrous. So yeah, it's interesting how they have to put the car into such a fine window for certain circuits, and when they find it, it's okay, but when they don't find it, like, it just looks really bad, and it's
yeah. Ash, what do you think? Yeah. Mac, I mean, what do we think about the race between the chase between Lando and Max closing out the season? I mean, Max is one disastrous result away from it being even game, right?
Yeah.
Like a couple of crashes.
Yeah, he is.
We're on, man.
He is one bad race away. But having said that, this is his time to shine as well. Everyone knows he's in a difficult to drive car. This is his time to pull one out of the bag, maybe Schumacher-esque, driving a really difficult, slow car and wringing his neck and getting something fantastic and, cementing legacy, cementing that triple world champion status and going with that. It's exciting for the rest of the season. It's boding well for us as spectators. A ding-dong battle fight all the way to the end, hopefully. It's shaping up that way. And Lando's not without pressure. Like, he's got but he's, it seems like the pressure will be for him is like that world championships. Like, he's so close to it, he can get it. He's just got to put it all together and keep on showing up every single race until the end. So it'll be interesting to see how the pressure in different sets affects each one. I've seen Max before kick it with pressure on his shoulders, so I don't think it's going to be that much of a deal for him as much as it is for Lando, because he's new to the whole experience. This is his first time fighting for a watch.
Yeah.
Oh, are you there, Ash? Hold up. Has Ash cut out?
He's frozen.
He's frozen.
I think Ash has done a Malaysia 2016, and he's put himself out.
I'll pause the recording there. I'll pause the recording there. Hold up.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
Okay.
Wait,
we're back. Are you okay? I'll edit that out. Sorry. Ash had a bit of a moment. I'll just... I think it's interesting the psychological state of Max too. I mean, this isn't an enemy, so to speak, like Lewis, where he could sort of put out his emotion onto and talk trash with and so on. I think Lando, they're like good buddies. And so I think what we're seeing out of Max is, rather than be able to, express himself at Lando, it's being manifested in his swearing and his disappointment at the FIA and his own team. What do we think about that, their relationship?
I think also, like, what's weird is, like, he's got his dad there as a confidant. His dad's been there. Like, you think his dad be able to coach him in channeling his energy into a positive way, rather than lashing out.
His dad's the one stoking the fires. Dad's the one causing all the problems.
Yeah, his dad's a nut. His dad,
Together, Max, you and I can rule the F1 world. If we just get Christian out, I'll be team principal.
Is that really the case though? Like, was he?
Nah, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But
I was going to say, because, like, I mean, that's a stretch, I can see him, stirring the pot in the background, but he was never really gunning for TP spot. I don't see Helmet running for it either. Like I don't see Helmet going for the TP spot as well. Like
he doesn't want to. He's fucking 90 or something. Helmet.
They just wanted to get rid of Horner, kick him out, but replace him with who? Who were they going to slot in? Like that was that's the other thing too. What, Helmet the Oliver Mintz guy.
Helmet has the best job in the world, a job with no title, all the pay, and all the power, right? He's the eminence grise of the sport. Like,
he's got
the puppet strings over everyone, right? No consequences and all the benefits, Marco. Like, how about, let's get to Ferrari. Do we want to talk about Sergio? What did we think of Sergio?
I think he probably got the most out that he could out of the car, and that was probably, about 10th, which is like where he finished.
3/10 slower than everyone else. But let's talk about the Tifosi, a tough weekend, Sainz a bad qualifying, Leclerc a rough qualifying. Not much to go on there. I mean, as you said, processional, and they were just stuck because of a bad qualifying. Anyone want to make any hits on this?
Yeah, they had just a topsy-turvy weekend. They looked quick early, Friday, Saturday. I think Charles did put it into the wall on Friday, but they did look quick early. And then Sunday, they were nowhere. They just was like, no speed on Sunday. And their qualifying reflected it, and their result reflected their qualifying. Didn't have a bad race from where they were, but not much they could do from where they were, unless there was a big accident up front or something.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah, like Sainz didn't cover himself in glory like that. It seemed like a pretty rookie error, spinning the car in the last corner as he attempted to start his fast lap. Like, reminded me a bit of Massa at Silverstone in the wet when that year in his Ferrari where he just couldn't keep it on the road. Like it didn't reflect well as his last Singapore Grand Prix in the Scuderia.
I think for both of them are so experienced. Like, they both should have been giving each other a bit of room. Like, dumb.
Well, slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. Sainz is smooth. Sainz is smooth and fast. Riddle for you.
On occasion.
Okay, we're back. And Mercedes. So Lewis gambled on the softs. It didn't pay off. He got overtaken by George, which always pains my heart. And so George moved up a couple of spots. Lewis moved down a couple of spots. Toto conceded. They made a lot of mistakes that weekend, as is his, it's in his contract to say that. But what do we think of the gamble by Lewis and how it paid off and didn't pay off? Sorry.
It just put Lewis into Lewis mode. When Lewis
just gave him something to whinge about.
Bad mood, Lewis.
Yeah.
Wow. It would have worked if the softs had turned on, but they didn't. So, we were left missing out. Could have been good if he was in first place. They just didn't work, The softs just didn't work.
Every other team seemed to be aware of how the softs were performing, was on the medium. He went the other way. I mean, what were you saying?
I think it's just Lewis. Lewis is just like, what's another podium at Mercedes mean to me? Add it to the pile. He's like, fuck it, I'll just roll the dice. Maybe I can get a win. He's got nothing to, really win or lose the rest of the season. So he's just going, might as well roll the dice and try and sneak a win somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. And Williams, let's go to Williams. Let's just work our way down the grid quickly. So Williams, Albon, Colapinto. He finally has a challenge, Mr. Albon. This is very interesting news. He's had a couple of years of living the good life, and now this young kid is in, just disrupting his sleep. I think. What do we think?
I totally agree, Mike. Yeah, I don't think anyone did. Anyone think Colapinto was going to be as close as he was? I didn't think it was going to be, because Albon was the guy that wrote notes after every session and was all cerebral and meditating in the garage, and no one could touch this Svengali of Williams or whatever. And now Colapinto just jumps in the car within hundredths or thousandths of a second of Albon.
He's the kid that doesn't do any homework and beats you on the test.
Seat. Yeah,
exactly. He's the kid who turns up and doesn't do any homework the night before and beats you at the test, right? That's how Albon must be feeling. Like, who is this kid?
Well, I think it's actually going to put a lot of pressure on Williams, because they've only had to produce one quick car. And they've only really seems like they've only had the budget to produce one quick car.
Yeah.
Now they've got to produce two quick cars and have two good strategies. So I think they're probably actually going to be under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, where's the money going to come from for this extra car?
James Bowser's like, I've got to watch 2 cars in a race. This is tricky. Never had to do this before.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. But yeah, great result from him. Like just outside the points. And yeah, he was pushing all the way. I think Checo was like, handing out the compliments, and he couldn't get past. This guy's a really good driver.
Yeah, right. So. He's good. That's why I can't get past him. Yeah,
it was nice of Checo. I think it's good to have another South American on the grid. I think that's what maybe Checo was also happy about. It's like more South American representation, because it's been a long time since an Argentine's been on the grid. It's been a long time since anyone from South America, or Mexico, Central America. But so I think it was a good thing. Seeing more diversity in this day and age, more diversity. But Colapinto's good, man. He's got the goods. I'm sad that he's only got a couple of races. He's got no drive for next year. Maybe Audi will pick him up. Who knows? But
he might get it if he does well for the rest. He might get a reserve somewhere. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, he should definitely get a reserve at Williams. If he doesn't get a drive for next year. He deserves it. He's shown that can jump straight in and deliver and not put into the barrier. His first race, like what's his name from Mercedes, Kinney in the barriers for Monza, whereas Colapinto was like, boom, So,
he did put it into the barriers, I think, on Friday.
Oh,
but it wasn't big. It was just a little slide.
Yeah, but it's Singapore, man. Singapore's like a lot tough. It's like it's street circuit compared to
I agree.
Monza.
I agree.
It's tougher. So I have no issue with him putting in the barrier during practice for Singapore, man. It's like it's a street race. Probably the first time he's there. I'm not sure on that, but still, definitely get something next year.
Super impressive.
It's very impressive.
Exactly.
Speaking of diversity and justifying your own existence, Kick Sauber, what the fuck are they doing there? Zoe, Bottas, nothing, nowhere. What? I don't even know what we can say about them.
Audi's panicking, man. Audi's panicking. What have we done? What have we bought?
Yeah, right. Justifying your own existence.
It's going to take us 20 years to fucking rebuild. I don't know.
Any thoughts on them?
They're nowhere.
Nowhere. Anything to add?
No, it was just nothing to add.
They've gone through some team principle, like heads like Seidel left or he got kicked out, and I was quite surprised at that. I thought he was like a super manager, but apparently not. I mean, they're part of the world's biggest car company, so they don't lack the funding.
Oh, sorry, Ash. Keep going.
No. You're saying I was just going
to say I fear that it could be another like Alpine situation where bureaucracy is, and investors are like, running the show and saying, you haven't got results in 3 months, so you're out now. We need results now, and the guys are going, it's going to take 3 years to like rebuild and get a decent car. I think that's what Seidel was saying. He's going to it's going to take time. Like
this is F1.
Don't think the management have the patience, so it's going to be tough for them. But they got Binotto. Binotto's got a lot of experience. He's seen it all, done it all. So he's a good man, I think, to bring it all together.
I agree.
I mean, just quickly,
sorry, Mike.
Just look at the arc of Toyota in F1. Like Toyota was a manufacturer team, unlimited budget, produced the chassis and the engine. It sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
And no matter what they threw at it, money-wise, like they never made it. They never made to the top of the mountain.
Aston Martin. Let's do some quick hits on the final 3 teams. Aston Martin. Alonso did Alonso. Lance does Lance. Debbie does Dallas. What do we think of Aston Martin?
Yeah, good summation.
Yeah, typical race for them where they are at the moment. Yeah, finished, Alonso getting a bit more than he should out of the car. Lance getting a bit less than he should out of the car.
Yeah.
Alonso getting a couple of points. Lance getting clearly none. That seems to be about where they are at the moment, pace-wise.
Yeah. And to Nick Hulkenberg and Haas.
Hulkenberg.
What do we think of that, of their race, their performance lately? Especially
awesome from the Hulk. Great quali. Like, what was he, 6th, I think? Qualified 6th. That's brilliant. Like, massive epic. So, and finished in the points. So, great great drive from him.
Talk about glow up, right? Who has done more for their reputation in the past year than Nico Hulkenberg? Wow.
Yeah.
He should be in the Red Bull. He should be in that Red Bull instead of Perez, man. He really should. Like that's who they need. But he's Audi's benefit. But yeah, saying that, man, I don't know. Like we've just slammed Audi, so it's not looking good for him for the future. He deserves better. He really does.
Like he
hasn't got the time. He hasn't got the time to. He needs a fast car now. He's mature, so he hasn't got the time to rebuild with a team and start from scratch.
Like he and Riccardo, teammates, their careers were going this way, and now they're going that way. What the heck? Incredible recovery, and like he's perception of the paddock has changed completely. Yeah,
and don't forget, you never know, man. Riccardo could be back. Like Hulkenberg was out, right? He came back. So Riccardo could be back. Something could happen. You never know.
Good point. Let's save that for the final point. I want to save that. You're getting ahead of me, Chris. Alpine. Anybody want to make any point for the Alpine performance?
I can't even remember where they finished, to be honest. Anyone got it up?
Nothing worthy to mention.
Unremarkable race for them. I could say.
I mean, if we can't remember where they finished, that says it all. I mean, Gasly in 17th, Ocon in 13th. Meh.
Yeah.
I mean, is Ocon's career? Where's it going? Like it's going to Haas next year. But I suppose it's better. It's better than Alpine. You reckon?
Yeah. Well, he's lucky, man. He's lucky to get sacked by Alpine and to go to Haas. Like he's heaps lucky. Like.
He always fails upwards, Ocon. Like, he has great management. You know what I mean? Not that he's failed. Upwards. He's going upwards.
But he's the teammate killer, man. You create, like, as in, literally, like, I'm just going to keep crashing into you. Not the Alonso or Verstappen teammate killer. I'll destroy you on track. It's like, I'll just keep crashing into you so you're trying to overtake me. Like, it's a big gamble by Haas, man.
Yeah.
It's one thing wanting an experienced driver, but when you're an experienced driver who likes to crash a lot, it's into your own teammate. It's dangerous. Like, a bit of a gamble.
Yeah. All right, we'll save the best for last. Time. Or the last for last.
Yeah.
Our honey badger dude. Let's go first with how he did in the race. What do we think of the fastest lap, the little send-off, a little bit of a tokenistic, here you go. What do we think about that? Like condescending or glorious, the fastest lap, guys?
Well, did anyone hear about the 3.5 mil?
Whoa, no. Someone's got money?
Yeah, I read that Red Bull were offering anyone in the family, 3.5 mil for the fastest lap because they know every point off Lando is important.
What?
So Riccardo was just like, well, I heard this was going around, so I was like, well, might as well. I've got nothing to lose.
How do they do this? Is this like a contract? Or is it like a wanted poster they just put up? Like,
they don't have to put anything in writing. They just got to say.
Wow.
Like, let the drivers know. We need every point off Lando. So there's a bonus.
Why did Yuki pit? Yuki should have pitted and got some subs.
Well, Yuki was in the points, I guess. Yuki got points, so that's the thing. I think if you're going to get points, you're probably going to take them, but.
Riccardo's on the Monopoly board. First of all, he passes Renault, takes some money, and then on the way past Joe, takes the Red Bull money.
Yuki's on a base salary of $1 million a year with a signing bonus.
Yeah, it was like, he would have taken that.
He would have taken that in a second. That's nuts. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I guess the team, it's not his. He can't decide. The team will just be like, no, we're not putting guys on Yuki. You can box. Guys on.
What did you think of the fastest lap? Was it a
I mean, it's like you said, it's a bit condescending and it's a little bit glorious as well. Like, it's just like, it is the consolation prize, but if you're offered it, you would take it. Like, otherwise he would have finished the race in whatever he was, almost last instead of just last.
Yeah, it's something instead of nothing. And
exactly. He got to drive the car at whatever the RB's slow maximum pace was. I don't know.
It's his last lap in
highlights
Formula
of the year,
and I think, if it's his last lap in F1, the chance to go balls out, on the softs, faster than anyone, that's I guess how you want to go out, right? On a fucking super quick lap.
You're not allowed to do burnouts. Just halfway through the season, do Alonso in the season burnout.
That's probably how DR would have put it too. Balls out, sad sack, ball sack, as he probably would have put it. Like,
Yeah.
let's talk about DR now, and let's reflect on the glory that was the Honey Badger. He had his ups, he had his downs, he had his ins, he had his outs. I mean, we talked about this last time. There's an alternate multiverse there, a Marvel multiverse universe, where he is a two-time champion, where he's maybe retiring as a Hall of Famer driver. How do we look back on the career of Daniel Ricciardo? Start us off, Chris.
Yeah, I think it's always a bit sadder when a career comes to an end that maybe you could say there's some unfulfilled potential there. You know what I mean? That's what made it all the more sad, I think, because everyone thought he, I don't know, if he was in the fastest car and Max wasn't next to him, then he'd be world champion. But he found himself in the fastest car, but Max was next to him. So as good as he was, and I think he could beat Max on some days, I think Max was better. I mean, faster, ultimately. But yeah, I think it was just a bit of what could have been. Obviously some magical moments on and off the track. Provided a lot of humor and, good fun, well liked in the paddock.
Definitely.
And yeah, I think we spoke about it earlier. Bit of a sad end, sad way to go. Didn't get the send off he deserved. But at the end of the day, it's F1, it's Red Bull. He knows better than anyone how brutal it can be. And I think he's actually like 10th on the all-time career start lists. So that's a impressive long F1 career. So yeah, I don't know. I think we'll all look back and wonder what could have been. He made some interesting career decisions.
Yeah.
Sort of seemed to be just going sideways, the second half of his career. But hey, that's F1. He tried and he had some great moments.
All political lives end in failure, they say, and the same could be said of Formula One drivers. I think you don't go out unless you're a great champion. You never go out in glory. You just end up getting chased off the paddock. Right? There's only 20 seats. Mike, what do we think about when we look back on DR theory?
Yeah, like the more I think about his performances, like and you mentioned before compared to Hulkenberg, like why the career arc is so different. Is he just such an emotional driver? Like when he's got those kind of like great feelings and goo going through his veins and everything's working for him, like he rides that high exceptionally high. But obviously when it's down, it's just so hard to, engineer your way out of it. And so, yeah, like when he's on song and he was in that nurturing environment at Red Bull and he had the car that worked with his driving style, like it was amazing. But then trying to recapture that, in a car that wasn't quite right, or in a team environment that was not quite as nurturing or as happy and go lucky as Red Bull is, like that's some amazing videos of their PR and marketing when he was with Max. Like he just never recaptured that form. And as said, like he had that unreliability in that year before he left Red Bull, probably made an emotional decision to leave. It definitely wasn't the right one, and just could never recapture it. But he had some great moments. Like him on the podium doing the shoeies, I don't think it's going to be replicated anytime soon.
No, definitely no one else is doing that shoey thing anytime soon. We won't be. Ash, what do you reckon, man? DR.
Yeah, look, he had a career that started off and it was full of promise, and for a time there it seemed like he could deliver, be the next Australian world champion. But when he left Red Bull, it all slowly started unraveling. And you'd have to say that unlike other world champions, he doesn't have that adaptability that they can drive. Like Alonso, for example, he can drive anything fast, and he does drive everything and anything fast. Riccardo, touch on what Mike said, the emotional driver was outstanding when he had everything going for him, but when it didn't go his way, it just fell apart. There was one big shining moment when he won at Monza with McLaren. That was surprising.
Nice. Yeah.
Against the grain. But that was just one highlight. Yeah, exactly. His last great moment, last time to shine. So fast driver, but I think just never really had all the ingredients to make it to be a world championship contender, regardless of what team he was in or who his teammate was.
Yeah.
I think he was like,
Where do we?
If you're gonna like.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say,
That's
where do we see him next year? I mean, what next for the?
I'm surprised he didn't get like. There's no word of him like going to Audi or something like that. I'm sure they would love to have someone of Riccardo's profile in their team as a second driver next to them. Hook up with Alkenberg again. They made good teammates.
Yeah. Okay.
Good chemistry, but there's no talk of him for Audi at all. There's none. There's like just the only thing is he's turned down a reserve at Red Bull, or it's up to him if he wants to stay in the Red Bull family. So kind of surprising, really. I don't know if that's indicative of how his stock has fallen in the F1 paddock, or other things.
I think it's partly that, but I think he also said that for him it was Red Bull or bust. Like he was all in.
Yeah,
and that's when obviously Red Bull was an option. I think now obviously it's different now. Now
it's just bust.
Probably sending the resumes out, but
yeah. Yeah, what do you reckon, Mike? What do you think he's doing? NASCAR, IndyCar?
Like, I honestly think that like he's not going to be involved in motorsport full time again. Like, I
really?
Money man doesn't need to.
No, yeah, I think he'll move to a ranch in America and he'll have some motocross bikes. I think he'll probably do like a couple of NASCAR road course appearances for shits and giggles. And he'll be just still part of the Red Bull marketing machine because he's huge. Like, just think of like he owns Drive to Survive. Like, he can't, put that marketing stock into a little box somewhere. I think that he enjoys that kind of like, front and center marketing guy. And without the pressure of F1, I think that he'll be at every, fun launch event where he gets to, make fun of other people and himself on a regular basis.
Massive
shits and giggles.
Massive social media following. Other than Lewis, Leclerc, and Verstappen, DR's right there. And considering he comes from the land down under, a tiny population, he's the fourth most followed on social media. He's huge in America. Everywhere he goes, he'll be okay. He'll get work in media or something. The women will always be around him. He'll do okay in life, I think. We don't have to feel too sorry for the guy.
I don't.
Nah, man, he made his millions, many millions, like
many times.
So he's set up. Like he made sure with his decisions, he made sure for one thing that he was going to be set up for life when he quit F1, and he's done that. So to his credit.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the pit crew's version of Marry, Fuck, Kill. We're going to rank Webber, Oscar, and Daniel. Okay, you don't have to marry, fuck, or kill either of them, but you do have to rank them 1, 2, and 3. I want a 1, 2, 3 out of each of you, and why? The great Australian drivers of the last 20, 30 years. Okay, let's start with you, Chris.
It's all pretty tight. I'll say that.
Enough as it is in a marry, fuck, kill game. Yeah.
I'd say 1 Oscar.
Wow.
2. 2 is very, very tight, and I'm really not sure. Maybe, I don't know. 2 Webber, 3 Danny Rick.
Okay, so you're putting Oscar there based on potential and speed, basically. He's only had a couple of years in, and he's already above the other two in your esteem.
Yeah. I think I mean, it's hard. I mean, I can't compare them. Obviously, it's like you can't compare the careers because it's not fair to Oscar. So, on their potential and speed, who I think Oscar will be the best ever Australian Formula One driver by the time he retires. Put it that way.
Yeah, Ash. Who you marrying? Who you fucking? Who you killing? I keep on saying those words. I'm sorry. I'll make it awkward. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
I was going to go with something similar to Chris's. It's a tough one between Webber and Riccardo. In terms of speed, Oscar, Riccardo, Webber. In terms of career impact in F1, Oscar, Webber, Riccardo. So, did I get that right? So, Oscar, Riccardo, Webber for speed. Oscar, Webber, Riccardo for career in F1. Because Webber left, he didn't have a dip in form and he had a consistent career. And he's still got the most wins out of... He's got the most wins out of the last of all the Aussies in the last 20 years. I think, 20, 30 years. Alan Jones still has the most, but Webber's in the last, David Bradman didn't contend for anything. So that's how I'd rank it. 2 different rankings, career and speed.
Nice. Mike?
Yeah, like I actually was just changed my mind. I think that, like, I agree with Chris that Oscar, he has the potential. Like, he clearly, when you look at him versus his teammate, I think that in just his calm demeanor, like I suppose Webber's relatively calm demeanor, like puts him in great stead for his career. So I think that he's probably going to be number one.
Ice in his veins.
Number two, I'm going to elevate Webber above Riccardo. I originally had Riccardo above, but when you reflect on the way that Webber got to F1, the way that he ground out in that Asia Tech Minardi thing, and then did the Jaguar time and so forth, like he really had that arc of longevity in F1. And as you said, like his performances were very consistent over his career, even though I've maybe the highs weren't quite as high as Riccardo's, but yeah, really rate Webber, man, like his work ethic and everything. And then Riccardo, those not so much flashes of brilliance, but yeah, like some brilliant moments.
Yeah, I have to agree with you
guys. Even wearing the Riccardo t-shirt,
I love it, but the moments were too far and few between, and I was left with a more frustrated feeling about his performances rather than, being, surprised. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Can I just say as a little side note, maybe one of the reasons DR left Red Bull was because he'd seen what Vettel had done to Webber at Red Bull, and he didn't want to be that guy, the quick guy who was just not getting the wins, not getting the results because he was next to a faster guy. I don't think so, but it's interesting.
It's a very similar dynamic, parallel. Right? It's a very similar
potential parallel that could have been. Yeah,
it's the same casting, right?
Well, it happened to him anyway. Norris sort of did that to him in McLaren. He just ended Riccardo.
Yeah, that's right.
He escaped one destiny to fulfill another one that was pretty much the same, right?
He couldn't fight fate.
Yeah. He did the one race with the parallel, not bad for a number 2 driver, and that was one.
True. Yeah, he did exactly. He fulfilled exactly the same path as. Good call, Chris. Yeah. Wow.
We're going to take your wing and put it on his car.
Yeah.
I mean, he leaves the sport in a better shape than he joined it, though, in terms of Australians on the grid. Next year, we have 3 antipodians. We're going to count Liam Lawson as an Aussie for argument's sake. Lawson, Piastri, Doohan. 3 Aussies on the grid. I mean, some of that has to be down or due to at least the slight influence of Riccardo, I'd like to think. Like, he put eyes
he would have influenced those guys. Those guys would have watched him growing up. They're all young, so I'm sure they would have watched him growing up.
Admiring him and thinking, I want to do that. I can do that as an Aussie, right? And so if we could say anything, maybe that's perhaps one of his greatest achievements is setting up the next generation. I'm trying to come out nice.
Yeah, playing a part in it. Yeah, no, I think that's fair enough. And he was the other thing to remember. I mean, sometimes it might have been a bit annoying, but he was a nice guy, and it's nice to have nice guys around in a very serious, stressful, sort of cutthroat sport. It was good to see someone smiling and having a joke and lightening it up a bit. So it was a bit of a breath of fresh air, Got to remember that wasn't, that like Vettel was a bit like that, had his moments and stuff, but most of the other humor came from like Kimi and like the opposite, you know what I mean? Being so dour. That's where the humor came from F1 before Riccardo. And at least Vettel brought, Riccardo brought a smile and a light touch, which was good.
Sure.
Yeah, he did.
Don't forget, Vettel was also pretty sweary over the radio at Charlie Whiting in Mexico and driving into Hamilton at Baku and other stuff. It wasn't all fun. It wasn't all fun and games.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Well, any closing thoughts for DR for the Singapore race itself? We're about to close out here for the app, guys. Any closing thoughts?
I'd just like to say we'll miss you, DR. We'll miss you, and I hope to see you around the grid at least in the near future. Maybe behind a mic, whatever it is.
I think he definitely has a place in the world of media F1 for sure. Mike?
Yeah, I hope that if he can, bounce back. I'd really love to see him in Texas, just in the paddock, in a ridiculous cowboy hat and boots or something like that, being the court jester. I mean, it would be hilarious. I mean, it's probably a bit sad, but Texas is his race, man. Like, it's so unfortunate they had to cut him before Texas, but
I know.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see him in the future and see him across all sorts of media. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, Ash?
Yeah, I get the feeling, like a couple of races will sort of, it's, time moves on. Everyone will sort of like slowly, his memory will slowly fade into the distance unless he keeps coming back for cameos in media. With regards to Singapore Grand Prix, if you have a Assetto Corsa, check out the Thompson Road GP that used to be held at Singapore, and you look at the layout of the track, that looks amazing, but for commercial reasons they didn't choose to have a race on that track. But check it out if you have a Assetto Corsa, that's worth looking. Or check out just the track map of the Thompson Road Singapore Grand Prix way back in the 50s and 60s. That looks epic. It really has everything. A mile long straight, S's, heavy braking zone into hairpin. Yeah, check it out.
We should do that. We should do an Assetto Corsa stream one day here on the channel.
Well, there's someone has done an Assetto Corsa drive-through with this, with using Daniel Riccardo in the Renault. So ties in, have a look. It's up on YouTube.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, we might wrap it up there. This has been a Recreate production. This has been the F1 Cooldown Singapore GP. Catch us next time. We go from the Lion City to the Lone Star State. We'll probably do a breakdown of that race following. We probably won't be able to get up early enough to do a watch along, but we'll definitely give you coverage of that. So this has been the Pit Crew. Follow us on the social media, on Spotify as well, and on your favorite podcast streaming platforms. Thank you for joining us, guys. Thank you, as always. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
Pleasure as always.
It was fun.
Yep. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Out.